Welcome to the Unheard Cries of a Mother, the podcast, where we dive into the raw, unfiltered stories of motherhood, the joys, the struggles, the sacrifices, and the triumphs. Here, we amplify voices that too often go unheard, shining a light on the incredible strength, resilience, and love of mothers around the world. I'm your host, Sabrina Ben Salmi. I invite you to join us as we uncover stories behind the smiles, share lessons learned, and create a community that uplifts, supports, and inspires. Let's honor the unheard cries and celebrate the silent victories of motherhood. Today, I'm joined here with my special guest, Simona. I am so looking forward to speaking to you, sweetie. We were just laughing our heads off at the start. So just to let you know, I have a bit of a sore throat. Simona has a similar, so you might hear a little bit of croak every so often, and like just reaching for a warm drink just to soothe our throats. But Simona, thank you so much for joining me in this space.
Thank you so much for having me. And I've already, with my cold and my getting emotional, as soon as you started speaking your words of raw, unfiltered, and the story behind the smile and the truth, it's going to be a very emotional conversation. I'm warning you.
And that's exactly what this space is here for. The space is here for you. And, as mothers, we know all too well that motherhood is the ups, the downs, the joys, the laughters, the tears. So we don't have to hold back on any of that.
Beautiful space. You know, wherever you do, you always create beautiful space. And this is so needed as well. This is so needed. So thank you for having me.
Thank you. It's an honor to have you here. And I can't wait for the listeners to hear about your journey and also HubDot. So we'll get into that. So I'm going to dive straight into the first question. The first question is, can you share a pivotal moment in your motherhood journey that shaped who you are today?
So there's many, but I would say that a pivotal moment, was when I got three kids, and I think it was the moment when I realized that the superpower that I truly owned and that I had, the one that no one could take away from me, was my authenticity. So the pivotal moment was when I stopped performing as a mother, and I went for presence over performance, and I started being authentic on every possible level with them growing up and really showing the whole, even the shadows and the dark and the side of, my shame.
I felt that. I felt that response so deeply. And it took me back to memories in my own motherhood journey. I think as mothers, there's always things that people expect and what you should be doing and how the kids should be showing up. And I was not a perfect mum. I was a hot mess. I couldn't get any of it done right. And I remember just being in tears and saying to my children, the only thing I can offer you is my imperfection. I will always try, I will always listen, but you haven't been given a perfect mum, but I'm willing to learn. And I love that. And I think there's so much power in what you said. I
Mm.
think there's so much power just to be your authentic self. Like even
Yeah.
some people said to me, don't cry in front of the kids. And I just thought, I don't want to do that. I don't want them to just see me joyful. They want to know that mum has bad days sometimes. They want to
Yeah.
know that mum feels sometimes. So, wow, what an absolute amazing start to this conversation, Simona. Thank you.
Thank you, darling.
So, the next question I have is, what's one part of your story that you feel has gone unheard or unacknowledged?
Of my motherhood story.
Yes.
I think the story of my miscarriages, of losing, yeah, that part. Because I do this thing, and people sort of who know me, I default into, it's called the jazzy hands mode.
Mm.
Jazzy hands is because, I'm a performer, I love being on stage, I love, a mic. And when I say jazzy hands, it's not just about being on stage, it's also about putting this whole facade of coping, of it's okay. I'm gonna put a bit of lipstick, makeup on, go do my hair, and I'm gonna be all right, no matter how hard. And I think I did that throughout my miscarriages. There were actually very big traumatic moments. That was something that I think yeah, it's the part of my motherhood story that I never really shared. I started talking about it recently, but I always somehow had this idea that I had to, which is probably very common in many mothers, of you just got to get on with things. You know, the other were small, and you know, you're blessed already. You have one, you have two. A lot of that narrative. So I think that part, yes. And I lost twins at 15 weeks, and I lost one at 10 weeks, and I lost my fourth at 12 weeks. After Allegra, my number 3. So I always say, when I talk about this, that I've been blessed with 3 gorgeous kids, but they, you know, there were 6, you know. Sabrina, I can't hear you. Can you hear me?
I actually didn't say anything. You know, you were hearing what I was thinking. It's interesting. I didn't say a word, but I was thinking in my head. And I was just there saying, I'm sending you love. That is so interesting that you said, I can't hear you. You say anything out loud, but I was speaking in my head. I just want to honor you as a mother to share that.
Mm,
Um, and I think you're quite right. I think as us as mothers, we can connect with the essence of having to keep going. The kids need to be fed. I better get out of bed. Kids
yeah,
need to get to school. I need to get out of bed. And when you said just put the makeup on, put some lipstick on, and let's just do what we need to do, we can all relate to a moment in our own lives when we've just had to keep going. I
yeah,
remember falling apart when I became a single mom, and my mum walked in and said, "You've got a daughter to look after. Get up, pull yourself together." And I was falling apart, but we just get up, we just persevere, and we just keep going.
yeah. Wow, this pull yourself together. Yeah, I think it's something you said very often. And it's really interesting because without sort of talking about, you know, men and women and whatever, but I do think that, you know, pregnancy is obviously a very, you know, personal experience to us. So we are. And even if, you know, this story of me being pregnant 6 times, but having, you know, 3 kids, and I've been so blessed and lucky, I'm very, very aware of my luck, you know, because there's so many women out there and friends of mine that were not blessed in the same way. So I'm very aware of that,
Very
you know,
true.
luck and privilege. And I always was so grateful every day of my life. I always feel that, you know, I was pregnant for 6 times, and my body, you know, it meant a lot for who, you know, my sense of identity. And so that's the part that I don't think I recognize of, you know, the 6 times, you know, it's all about having the kids and achieving. But there was a lot, you know, that, yeah, that is the other part of the story.
And it's
Thank you for your
interesting.
love. I feel your love on the through the screen. That's why I started you saying that to me.
Oh, that's so beautiful. And it's interesting. I read a paper on the fact that whether our children are birthed into this world or not, part of their DNA resides in us forever. And I thought that was so moving. I think that's so moving. And also from the first baby, I told this to my kids actually, the first baby's DNA, well, all of them, but the first baby will be resonant in every single sibling thereafter. And I thought, oh, that's so beautiful. We are literally all connected.
It's beautiful.
Yeah,
It's beautiful.
beautiful.
Outstanding. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
The next question I have for you is, what support or words of encouragement did you need during those times of that silent suffering?
Mm, I needed somebody to say, look after yourself, you know? I need somebody to say, what do you need? What do you need right now? Can anyone make you a cup of tea? Can anyone prepare a bit of sort of lovely bath with a bit of sort of lavender oil in it? You know, just a little sort of care, be handled with care, you know? That's, yeah.
And it's interesting for us women. Sometimes you just want that non sexual touch, just someone to hold you,
Mm.
someone to be there, to be present. Sometimes it's not words, just someone to just stay there and just be touched.
Yeah, and it's so interesting, isn't it, Sabrina? Because it's of course people that love you out there for you. But I think this, I go back to this thing that I'm really reflecting on at this stage of my life as, 53-year-old mature mom, is that the sense of be fully present. So the people that love you, that are around you, anyone, your mother, parents, whoever it is around your friend, are actually fully present for you, to say what in tune, what is it that I can do for you? What is it that you need? And not just be there. Mm.
And I think what's really interesting as you're speaking, what stands out, Simona, is the essence of when you love so deeply and so much, sometimes when you pause, you're seeking for those moments to be loved with a similar intensity. So it's really beautiful what you're saying. And it's okay for us mums to ask for that. So I'm glad that you actually shared that. Thank you.
Yeah.
um, how has motherhood challenged your sense of identity?
That's every day. It does every day. The older they get, the more I'm challenged in my sense of identity. Um, so what comes to mind, and I've got this very quite a scatty type of brain, call it whatever, ADHD, I don't know what I've got. I mean, I'm sure I've got a bit of everything. So I'm off, so
Me too.
whatever comes, I sort of share. But I tell you what's coming with this question is the fact that the way in which my identity, the sense of identity is challenged in a sort of direct link with my kids getting older. It's like with
Mm,
every as they get older and they go into a new phase of life, a new stage, there's this sort of mirror, there is sort of thing towards me that I feel that my identity sense of is being challenged. It's a very strange thing. I almost
not
connect it.
strange. No, it's not strange, not at all.
Do you know what I mean? So I think is this thing of who, outside as my role changes, with them and evolves and is obviously less but more in other areas.
Yeah.
What's left of me? Who am I? What defines me? What do I want to be defined by? And in a way, without them knowing, they also challenge a sense of identity constantly. Is that sense of identity, does that sit well with you, kids, right? And so in a way, I really link that to them as well, which is maybe part of the problem, is I need to completely separate it.
And it's interesting. I don't think we speak about this enough in society. I think we speak a lot about when they're young, but as they're getting older, there is a detachment that happens because obviously we raised them to live without us. You raised the most precious part of you to exist in the world without you, and you love them so much. You've never loved anyone as much as that. But it's very interesting because some people say, oh, you're just a clingy mother, and it's your whole life has been this child. And I don't think people realize that you have not taken a breath outside of thinking about this child. And all of a sudden, it's one day everyone says, cut off, that's it, you go off. And it doesn't work like that because you need
Exactly.
to have this support system. I don't think mums talk about it. Because I remember when I've got a 25-year-old and 25, 20, 17, 16, and 12. And I'm growing through exactly what you're talking about. And I'm speaking to mums about this now, Simona. And they're going, actually, it's true. But it's like this unspoken truth that mums don't always feel that they're allowed to say.
No, very
There's a
true.
lot of discomfort around how it's spoken, how it
Mm.
feels. And I think we just need to say it as it is. How do you feel about it? What is your identity around?
Completely,
And it's
completely.
hard. It's heartbreaking.
It is very hard. It is very hard because also they're used to having us in a certain way. The identity, is this going to sit okay with you? And for us to own it and say, well, yes, this is because, the older I get, the more, stories I find out about myself, and I want to go straight into that. Maybe there's a new identity, right? And they, you know what I mean? For them, it's either cringe or they go,
Yeah, yeah. That's what my kids
that's
say
not
all the
you.
time.
So really, like that's
Yeah.
not you. So there's no you. They're not used to that. As we,
Yeah,
go come in touch again with that,
absolutely.
part of identity that it was muted for many times, many
I
years.
love that what you said. It was muted. That's exactly what happens to mums. What parts of you have been muted? I love that. I love that. That is so
But,
spot on.
but it's still there, and you just go. And then when you're ready to express in all its sort of, strength and power, Everyone, partners, kids, are just go, hang on a minute.
What's going on here? Yeah.
What's going on here?
Starting to rock the boat a little bit. I love the way you said that. Listeners, really tap into what Simona said around where in your life have you been muted? How are you showing up as a mother? What aspects of you are silently running behind the smile that are waiting to come out and liberate you? I love the way you said that. Absolutely gorgeous. But yeah, definitely understand that.
By the way, I so love how you're holding space for me. And in this podcast, I feel very, literally, I feel I'm in cotton wool, this sort of, just beautiful, your energy. And yeah, I feel very relaxed and well done you for this. But that's very much your Sabrina stamp, Anyway.
Well, alchemy is your natural being, Simona. It's an honor, likewise. And we're both creating this space. It's co-created.
Yeah.
So the next question I have for you is, can you describe a time when you felt completely unseen and unsupported in your motherhood journey?
Mm.
And that could be anywhere. It could be at work, it could be at school, like in any capacity.
Yes, I think, oh wow, this is gonna sound
No, it's not. Just say it.
so there was this, so I went from, I've always worked all my life. Well, I started working when I was very, very young, and then came to this country. I'm Italian, as you know. So, I had to really build everything from scratch by myself and all of that. So ended up with a great career, great job in the city. Then met my husband. Then I started doing my singing. And then I went into sort of a bit of freelance work. But I dedicated, and I was very lucky and privileged to dedicate 6 years of motherhood, as in, I could really spend time to be with the kids, right? I didn't have to go out there and work and and right and provide. So I was incredibly lucky and blessed. And I literally recognize that every day of my life, right? Because I had a very sort of easy ride, despite the fact that I also had my own difficulties and my own journey, my own story. So you see, I muted all of that for shame because I was always thinking, I'm so privileged. I've got the beautiful home. My husband got a great job. Who am I to even complain? You go, to the hospital. I mean, all of that narrative of being, I had to mute all of that because
Yes.
that's shameful of me, compared to so many women having a difficult time. So that's also part of the narrative. But anyway, for 6 years that I became one of these lovely sort of full-time moms with, friends of mine who were pushing prams in the park, and I was part of that sort of, scene. I feel that there was a clear moment when I then decided that I wanted to go and start working again, that I felt that the same moms and lovely, lovely friends, not all of them, but some of them, they stopped seeing me because all of a sudden, as I said, there's more. And as I said, this is part of who I am, but I want to be, I've decided to be a lot more. And I'm going to be this and I'm going to be that. And I'm going to be singing on stages and I'm going to do, as I did my jazz gigs, and I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I'm going to do things. I'm going to get busy. All of a sudden, that I didn't feel seen like that as a mother. And it was very painful. There was a lot of judgment because I sort of almost like for them, some of them, I decided to come out of that identity and that label. And so I wasn't one of them. And to sort of to be written off, I didn't feel seen in that moment. It was very painful.
I am so glad that you have taken the courage to speak into that. That is such a relatable story, not only for myself, but for other moms I've spoken to.
Mm.
It's like when you have this group,
Mm.
they say it's either it catapults you or it imprisons you. And sometimes, they're completely lovely where we are, but when you try to distort that and to rise a little bit, you're frowned upon because you're breaking apart what's there and you're seen differently. And why would you want to do that? We kind of agreed to be at this space. I
Correct.
love what you said. You shared so much wisdom around what women carry. So as mums, very often we do, oh, my pain is not as bad as that one's pain. So you then feel guilty to even say you're in pain, to even say you need help. Like, how dare you speak? It's not as bad as this one's or that one. So you're constantly living in this shame and guilt for the pain that you carry.
Huge,
So already you've got the pain, you've got the shame, you've got the guilt, you've got the fact that
huge.
you're isolated, and it's just layered.
So and that has been really, I mean, that's if I think of my motherhood story, it's
Mm.
been all the way through this constant sense of guilt because I was brought up as Catholic. So it's also, guilt in my, that I had to sort of, address as well. And I had to free myself, and I'm sort of, it's an ongoing, work that I do. But there was this thing that I felt, who am I to speak compared to so many? And I had friends of mine, single moms, those ones that had lost, their children. I mean, and I always had this thing literally in this narrative, like literally on ongoing radio. Don't even start speak. Don't even speak. You're tired. But you got money, you can buy food for your kid, da, da, da. You can do this, but you can get busy. You got a beautiful home, your home is warm, you got friends, I couldn't say, but I feel that I don't belong. I'm Italian and I don't feel maybe I'm really in my head it was, do you even go there? All my life. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Not
can.
giving myself permission,
Giving
really.
yourself permission, exactly. Us as mums don't give ourselves permission
A
sometimes.
lot of a lot of sense of guilt attached to money, social status, many, many things. And yeah, that's, I think, has been my story.
And just to speak into that, for the purpose of the listeners, I would suggest that you look into like survivor's guilt. I think that will maybe understand, if you can't understand where we're going with this, is that guilt of, you've survived and someone else hasn't, is a similar context in which Simona's describing. That because you've got a house and you're warm, someone else might have less. And then how could you speak to them about your pain? How could you even begin to start opening up and peeling back those layers? Even the responses, like I I'm so grateful that you've actually brought this up. I remember times when I was raising my own children and there was similar things I was going through, Simona. And I remember mum saying, I was envious of you, I was jealous of you. And I was thinking, I'm going through hell. I need somewhere just to lay my head down. I need to be able to speak. And they would look at the kids and saying, the kids are being carried by God. That's not me. I need somewhere to lay my head. I need to speak. I need to express. I need help. So sometimes we're walking around and inside our inner child is screaming, is crying, is pleading.
Okay. It's so true. And the other thing is you're absolutely right. You're so right. And that's why I love what you're doing. I love this platform and the whole, yeah, you're really opening up an important conversation. You know what I'm like. Straight away I'm thinking we got to do an event
Oh,
around
that's the same thing I was thinking. HubDot, Unheard Cries of a Mother, HubDot, that would be incredible.
like 100%. Can I
Mm.
just tell you, sorry, listeners, I don't want to interrupt the flow, that this theme is so needed, and people in our community, they've been asking for this for a really long time. So let's really talk about this. Let's bring this to life.
I think
Online events,
we
experiences.
have a sense of responsibility and duty of care too. I set this up because I was in so much pain. This isn't me sitting here and saying to mums, I've got it all together and I'm going to listen to your stories. I've gone through pain, but how do I speak about that? How do I speak into that from a place of love? I love my family. I love the people I've danced through life with, but we are mums. And I think as mums, as we come together and speak and talk and share, we begin to heal. That's the whole essence.
Yeah,
We can just heal and we share our
beautiful.
stories. We can touch someone else and give them hope. So thank you so
And
much.
no, it's beautiful. And Sabina, what I want to say on that note about feeling sort of shame is that I've also realized, and I'm sure it's in one of your questions, is that, I don't think mothers should ever compare. Everyone has got their own lead story and their own circumstances and life. And the fact that, wealth, money, partner, husbands, not having a husband, but at the same time, someone may be surrounded by a lot of family support or sense of village around them, even if they have a lot less in terms of financial means.
Exactly.
And that's why there's a lot of judgment attached to motherhood, right? And some moms who are maybe, some of them are very successful, or they look on the outside, they've got the perfect life and they've got the beautiful, maybe they're experiencing loneliness a lot more. This is what I've discovered.
I think what you said is so important. Loneliness is one of the biggest crises in society today.
Yeah.
It's the biggest crisis. So you couldn't have said it better. It's so true. You may see some, you may be in a house full of people and still feel alone because there's intimacy, isn't there? There's that connection. Have
Yeah.
you connected with the people around? Do you
Yeah.
feel seen? Do you feel listened to? Do you feel heard? So I think you're so right. I love that just with mothers. Don't just look at someone on the outside and make assumptions. Let's be kinder to each other. Let's speak to each other. Check in. Ask.
I need to charge my phone, my computer.
Oh, I'm so, so grateful that you've spoken into this essence of this assumption. And I think that as mothers, if we can just learn to be kind to each other and serve, since I've met you, you've always been about alchemy. You've met me when my babies were in the buggies, and you've always been the same. So I think we just need to learn to be kinder to each other. One thing we can understand that we have more commonalities than differences. We all love our babies. We've all got our own story to tell.
Yeah,
We've all got those unspoken stories. So we need to
I
connect a
agree.
bit deeper.
Beautiful.
So thank you. Next one is, what has been the most rewarding aspect of motherhood?
Wow.
Yeah. Oh.
Rewarding is to see them growing up and to see the, that makes me really cry, and to see them blossoming in all of their sort of their full selves, but seeing that they really are the sort of better version of everything that I would have sort of wanted to sort of, to be, not just me and and my husband, but these sort of human beings that truly everything that I hoped for myself and wanted to be, and in good and bad, right? And I'm not talking about positive sides of the character, of the personality, fully owning who they're becoming. And that I feel, wow, I hope I had a little bit of a contribution to that. I mean, seeing them, looking at them and going like this.
Yeah. I'm one of those mums. I just
Just
at
looking
them,
at
just
you. But I always go like, even just look at you when they have the meltdown, I go, look at you,
yeah.
you beautiful meltdown. And you're just crying and you scream, great that you're owning that, the 360 degrees.
Oh, it's so funny. I'm not the only one. I do that, and it's so funny. But like with my elders, I was a very sensitive young lady, and I didn't have any boundaries. And with my elders, if she puts boundaries in place, I'm like, yes. Even if it's with me, I'm like, wow, well done. Are you okay?
Well, with my girls say, I don't,
Yeah.
I don't like the way they, this sort of that boy sort of treated me, and they
Mm,
go into this real sort of, no way
yeah.
boundaries, big massive thing. I think it's a generational thing as well. I
Yes.
grew up with this thing of, sort of in that very sort of, anyway, Catholic woman sort of role in
Yeah.
society. Anyway, that's for another story.
And the kinder you are, the more of a woman you are, the more you suffer, the more of a woman you are, the more selfless you are. And I think we need to get away from celebrating women having to be selfless. And I totally relate. But I am that goofy mother that would just like stare at them for hours and kind of like just like, oh my God, I made you. So I totally understand. It's gorgeous, so rewarding, beautiful. So the next question is, what advice would you have given to your younger self about before becoming a mum?
I have a very, very, very clear advice to my younger self. Not that I regret not doing it, because every path you teach me is meant to be, and it's completely, um, really meant to be in this, and it's absolutely, that's how it needs to be. But I would say to my younger self, don't forget about you along the way. So, as you embrace, and if you're blessed with children, if you're embraced and blessed with this path, if you're embracing it, um, really think of what is the Simona that is going to be still sort of shining a very bright light, and who are you going to be, this whole sort of identity piece, instead of going into, like I go into things completely full on, 100% all in with that, with I'm very sort of absolute person. So that's what I would say to her. Just have a tiny bit more of a, not a little strategy, but really, keep, as you raise these kids, and you start a family, keep her very, very close to your heart. So don't forget about her. Just don't forget about her at any point. That's what I would say to her.
I love that. That is so beautiful. Don't forget.
Oh.
Wow. Yeah, that I felt that. I felt that a lot. Next question I have, I don't want to add nothing else to that. Next question I have is, excuse me, how do you balance the emotional weight of being a mother alongside pursuing your own dreams and aspirations?
I don't balance it. There is no balance in my life. I don't. The way I deal with it is that I'm just giving myself permission to have my low moments and my moments where I go, I need to refill that sort of, that tank. And I can't, and I really learned how we absolutely cannot pour from an empty cup. And I learned that really the hard way because I've had lots of moments where I had to really sort of work on myself and my health. I had lots of sort of, issues across, over the years when I went from sort of full-time mom into this sort of, HubDot and being an entrepreneur. And so I think I now allow myself to completely go, okay, pause. Do I need to have a day where I just feel really sorry for myself and I just cry my eyes out and all I do is just, just cuddle up under a blanket? Or do I need to go and sing and do my jazz? And I need to go with my musicians and the ones in my life that reveal that sort of creative, part of me away from me as all the other labels. So that's what I do really, no balance. My life is a constant. So there's a lot of, but I feel all the feeling, I feel the emotions all the time. And now I give myself permission to do that. Up until a few years ago, I wasn't. And I was looking to strike that balance. I was looking to say, okay. And now I really believe that the only way in which I'm going to achieve a balance is by going through all the beauty and all the nastiness of all the spectrum of feelings.
I love that because you just honor how you're feeling. You
Mm.
honor and give yourself permission that what do I need in this given moment? And you'll go off and do that.
Yeah, and sometimes I freeze. I got this thing as well with work that I feel that I literally cannot move, and I honor that, and I go, okay, this is just a day where I can't be creative, where I can't give to the kids, where I can't give to my husband, and I go, it's okay, it's okay.
That's so powerful what you've just shared. Like that wisdom is life changing because sometimes we try to push past our hibernation season, but actually that's the season. That season is actually right now I need to pause. Right now I need to catch my breath. Right now I don't need to be touched, spoken to. I just need to be at one with me.
And it's extraordinary what we go through as women. I think, our bodies and I think
Mm-hmm.
that's what lots of indigenous communities do. Like, they still being held, being around women, whatever at whatever moments of their sort of motherhood journey. And we're living this life in this society where it's all go and the pace and well, so that's why we have this sort of wrong idea of not pausing and not stopping and not saying, I can't
Exactly.
do that now. So we need to pause and just sit down, and just go strip everything back and just be, fully in that moment.
And the reality is, Simona, when we don't pause, burnout arrives because our body doesn't lie. Our body
I've
doesn't
had it about
find
40
it.
years. Yeah.
Exactly. It will manifest in various ways in our bodies. And I think we've got to be so mindful of that as mothers that when do we pause? When do we catch our breath? And it's so important to realize, just like Simona's saying, is that our emotions are just our internal guidance system. So why
Yeah.
don't we listen to it when it starts to speak? Why don't we feel out what we need in that given time? So thank you so much for sharing that. That's so, so important. I love the way you started though. I don't balance. I was like, yeah, I can relate to that. It's
Zero.
no balance happening.
Zero. That's what I aspire. I aspire to a life where my sort of, whatever, wiser, older years where I have a balance of it.
Yes.
I'm not, I'm very, everyone knows who knows me, they know that the balance is just not, balance of, it's not that I'm not balanced, is that I sort of, I'm just not very good at that, almost like, strategic. I think a lot of the
Mm-hmm.
moms that I know that do it really well, I always think of them as being real strategists.
Mm-hmm.
So they have this, they've got their whole life organized, but not just the not just in what I do, the kids, what I give to them, also the time for me, they look at it in such a linear way, and they do the bucket of me time is empty. Stop everything, and that strategy, that way of thinking, I don't have yet.
Yeah.
I'm practicing.
Work in progress. I love it. So, can you share a lesson that you've learned from your own mother or a mother figure that shaped how you parent today?
Oh, so I've learned a lot of lessons from my my own mom, and good and bad. I need to mention her. I would say sense of humor, big
Oh.
time. My mother, yeah, she's 80 years old, so great sense of humor and having a laugh, laughing things off, which is also very Neapolitan. I'm from Naples, in the south of Italy, and that's, very much we got to have a sense of humor in the darkest of days. You've got to try and find lightness. But the one thing that comes to mind is from somebody who has been a role model for me, who has passed, is not here with us anymore in this life. And her name is Denise. And Denise is, oh, Denise, you're so here right now. I so feel her presence. So Denise was the first friend that I met in London. She's my oldest in every way, because let me just think, 29. So she must have been 35 years older than me, so much older, if not more. And I met her randomly in a pub. First time she went to a pub on her own with her dog, and first time I went there on my own, which is very strange. Drinking, having a drink, very sort of surreal, really completely meant to be one of those alchemical moment. But what I've learned from her, because she became a great friend of mine and has been really my role model as a mother, the advice that everything that I learned from her is, I think, around the sense of, don't think that just because you've given birth, they owe you things, or they owe you love, and you don't demand anything. That is the literally. So that, love, oh my God, it makes me cry as I think of her. You would have loved her. A lot of people in the HubDot community know her because she spoke on stage. I got a clip about her. And so I think what she really taught me was this sense of freedom, that you love with freedom. That love is not ownership. And your kids is this. So the fact that she always say, one day they're not going to call, or they're not. So I still, there's this sort of me, Italian mama in me, that I need to see them and I need them, to be in touch with me. But I always think of her. She had her kids everywhere in the world. She was, on her own in London. But she had this thing that she was there, really having her life. And she always say, they call me, they come and find me when they need, but I know they love me. There's no need of, I don't demand that from them, of them. And I thought that was beautiful. And that's a massive teaching that I always, as my kids become more and more grown up and independent, I always think, love is not owning. So,
It isn't. It's very true. It really isn't. That's really wise words. Really wise words.
yeah,
Doesn't make it easy, but that's very wise words.
yeah, she's incredible, really. So that,
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Absolutely beautiful. Yeah, that's beautiful. Oh, wow. The next question I have is, how do you define success as a mother?
I would say what I was saying at the beginning, totally getting to a point where you can be 100% real, 100% human. And I think the success for me is being a mother who is fully human. So that's what I think it is, with all the flaws and also the fact of not having answers. I now really own it. And I now ask my girls for advice. I say, I don't know. And Sabrina, when I was younger, I wasn't sure I wanted to have kids.
Mm,
I was young and very sort of, ambitious and very driven. And I remember thinking, I don't think I want to have kids because my fear was the fact that I would never, I always used to say, I don't think I will have answers. I don't have answers for a lot of things. I feel questioned so much, even if I'm in my early 20s. And I now understand that it's not about having answers. Not at all. It's really doing this sort of, motherhood, traveling as a mother with them, and then you reach out to them and they give you answers, and they give you answers to things that you think you should have answers for.
Yeah.
They, I am learning from them every day, and I so love their perspective on things. This is why I'm constantly, I think it's even too much. They go, Mama, can, for your friend, you deal with that. I go, what would you do? Yeah. I think a lot about
Funny.
them.
Oh, it's so funny you saying that. I can totally relate. I do go to my children for advice. I'm always like, it's interesting how those roles reverse uh, as they get older.
But then you just go, yeah, all right, it's quite, they find it quite cringe as well. I say, Mum, I'm not, I don't want to sit down a coffee and talk to you about, I don't know, some cringe themes.
Oh, it's beautiful. But I love that. I love the fact of you saying, as a mother, we don't need to have all the answers. And I think sometimes as mothers, we carry too much of the guilt or the shame around not knowing everything. But it's the journey. And you go and find those questions, the answers to those questions together. It's profound. It really is profound. So the next question I have is, if you could rewrite any part of your motherhood journey, what would you shift a little bit? You don't have to.
Mm. Mm, I think for sure I would rewrite um the sort of the mindset that I had of being fully in it, of thinking that being a good mother meant for me being only that in an exclusive way. So I would rewrite the part and I would include a lot more about me and not feeling guilty. But I went in because obviously I had no sort of family support, and I was here and I was in a foreign, different country, different culture, and I was very fearful of not doing it in the right way because I was from the south of Italy, where we have our kids with us until they're 50 years old if they don't get married. I was
Exactly.
very scared of not fitting in. That's been a big theme in my life. That's why HubDot started as well. And so that feeling that, it's okay to just imagine what I could have been outside of their mom's role and do other things along the way, alongside, instead of if I don't go into it, it's not going to be good enough and I will fail. So I was very scared of failing as a mother. That was a fear I had. I think so.
Mm.
And so I put everything in it. And I thought the more I put in this energy, commitment, give it, the more I'm going to be great. And everyone is going to think that I'm this amazing mom. Wrong. A lot less and more in presence to myself, in witnessing myself. I didn't really witness myself.
It's interesting, that dynamics you're speaking about, the forgetting about inserting yourself into your life, your own life, because I inserted myself into my life at 31. I was non-existent in my life. I was doing everything for everyone, and as women, we do that. We wear hats.
Mm.
We are the sister, the auntie, the mother, the wife. We are everything to someone else. Who
Everyone.
are we to ourselves? But I think the way you've described it is so perfectly spoken. And I think as mothers is just to remind ourselves, just to maintain an essence of us. And sometimes I would say, as mothers, not everybody, every family is different, every child is different. But sometimes if you are overly there,
Mm.
sometimes you need to remove yourself a bit so the family can appreciate your presence, because sometimes too much of a good thing is not so much of a good thing all the time anymore. So really,
Agree.
really nice the way you said that.
Totally agree.
Next question I have is, how has societal pressures influenced the way that you approach motherhood?
Hugely, huge pressure for me. And being in a society that wasn't my original society where I'm from, because I came here and I was 29, 20 years old. And so I came here and I built my life everything I did in London was very much, on my own. And there was this thing that I really wanted to belong, and I wanted to be one of them, of you. I wanted to be sort of English because I had a very difficult relationship with Naples, and at the time growing up, and with my party, with my family. I wanted to have a different. I love London. I love this sort of open, sort of multicultural society. But I do think that without realizing it, I've always had this sort of pressure of doing things in a certain way. And so I had to do everything I've done to fit in. So how do English moms, how do they do the motherhood being English? I need to do that. Even if my intuition and my instinct was, but I don't want to have a routine for the baby. I want to just, be in flow. I want to, I don't know, breastfeeding, for example, all the time. And I felt the judgment, and I felt that it was around me. There was a lot of, yeah, there was judgment. Maybe they were not judging me. I was judging myself, but I felt society was really on everything, small things, big things, um, from in every possible way. So I felt that pressure.
I wholeheartedly agree with you with the judgment. I don't really think it's just you doing it yourself. I think as a mum, everybody is constantly judging you. As soon as you have a baby, they'll say, oh, don't leave the baby like that. And strangers, they'll say, don't put the baby like that, put it like this. Don't do this, that here. And you don't know them. You've never met them before. So there is this constant judgment and external improvement that mums are
Conflict.
up against. Even breastfeeding, that was, especially here in London, there was so much scrutiny around, like, should this be done in public? Can you do this? Is it appropriate? So there is so much judgment that mums have to endure as a mother.
Dude, we're always looking to fit in. We always sort of twist and mold
Yes,
to do it in a way that is acceptable for society.
yes, yes.
Is it acceptable for us? It's not. So we should tell everyone, I'm not going to swear. I told you we were swear, but should everyone, this doesn't work for me. So you get lost, everyone. This is how I'm going to do it. So be a lot, a lot of that, like this is, I don't see moms doing that.
Yeah.
Like literally, but I hope that the new generations are going to be like
I
that.
think the new generations are stepping into that. I really think they are starting to speak up and stand up for
Yeah,
themselves.
teaching us something.
Yeah, we were taught to, be ladylike and not say anything and don't disagree. Just get on with it. Yes. So the next question I have is, what role has community played in your journey? Has it been a source of strength or something that you struggled with?
Um, so I would say an incredible community with my NCT group. I didn't know what the NCT was in the UK because I was obviously Italian. And somebody at work, a guy, I always remember, I can't even remember his name, but I remember his face. He came to me and he saw me at the desk, heavily pregnant. And he said, before, you should, do you know NCT? And I said, no, I don't know NCT. He said, you find your community in this country, like NHS. And I was like, wow, incredible. So I met my friend, they're still friends, 22 years on. We still meet sort of once every 3 months, whatever. We're still in touch. And so that was my community of the sisters, different nationalities, Indonesian, Japanese, English, literally a complete mix. But we became sisters. That was my village, the NCT was literally my village. A difficult community because obviously when you're moms and you're pregnant at the same time, there's also competition. And I think, some of that mechanic, it was not very good because everyone was comparing, the first steps, you're this, you're that, is the baby thriving, all of that. But I felt that sense of community around me. Then definitely not having a community strong enough around me when I was, when the kids were growing up. I then found it locally where I live in London. Great moms, great friends, and still my friends and my mom's friends. But then I also felt that that wasn't there. As I said earlier, when I then decided that I wanted to be more, do more, I felt that was because there was that judgment, a lot of them just dropped,
Mm.
um, instead of receiving me for who I was becoming. So a mom, a mother plus, 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 plus. So a mother plus jazz singing, a mother plus entrepreneur, no, plus building a global movement. They didn't, some of them didn't. I felt that community, ended being there for me, although I kept some amazing friends from those days. So I would say that has been there and not there. Not as
Yes.
a constant flow as I would have loved it.
Mm.
Um, yeah.
So thank you for sharing that. And I think as you were speaking, Simona, I was thinking about that saying, a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And
Love.
it's interesting as we grow and as we shift and as we call in more into our life,
Mhm.
we'll realize that some of those people do come along with us, but some of it can't stay together. So there's an organic tapestry of
I
love.
love that's one of literally I so love it. It's so true. And
Yeah.
if you feel it, that's what I didn't know. You see, I know it
Yeah.
now. But I
Yes.
didn't as a sort of, younger mom, I didn't know.
No, we don't
And
know them.
I should have said, the season, the reason of a lifetime, and some of
Mm.
them are lifetime. But yeah, to let go, having this, I think
Oh,
with maturity,
yeah.
let go instead of sort of hanging on to people and situations.
Mm. And when we see it from a place of love, we realize they weren't supposed to come along with us. Whatever is supposed to stay will never leave, and what's not supposed to be there can never stay. So it's not easy, but that's just how life is. So the next question I have for you is, how do you cope with the guilt and doubts that come with motherhood?
I don't.
That's it. Yeah.
I don't really cope. That's my answer. I really don't. And I feel it's completely normal. It would be like this forever. And I think I can only do my best. I try, you know, I really try. And then if it doesn't really work, it doesn't work. And I don't fight even the sense of guilt. I'm really learning that it's just there and it's okay. It's okay.
Beautiful. I love the authenticity in your response. Like, it's okay to not be okay sometimes. It's okay not being able to cope. It's okay to say, I don't
Mm.
really know what to do. And it happens. Next question is, what do you wish people understood about the emotional labor that mothers carry?
Mm. I mean, people, not gender, people in general.
Yeah,
Mm.
just people in general. It could be mum. It's entirely up to you. Whatever comes up for you first.
I
Just
think,
honor.
yeah, I think the extraordinary sacrifice and demands that we go through in terms of our body, in terms of our feelings, of our ambition, of compromising on the demands on every level. When I think there is this incredible, beautiful journey again, if we are blessed to be on as mothers, because I repeat, a lot of women don't. So I'm very aware of that. So if we are, it is an incredible journey, but it's also a journey that it takes away a lot. It takes away a lot because then you are sort of, rebirth in this new woman. But in all of that, I think the demands are huge because you've absolutely come next, your body, it's the transformations of your body. And I think on every level, it's a massive, massive, massive demand. And I don't think that's really recognized of how
Right.
everything is stripped away, stripped back. And you need to be prepared to say it's okay. Yeah, there's absolutely nothing I can do. I don't think that people around recognize that personally. I don't think it's understood the level of what we, sacrifice that we go through.
I think that's so true. Spiritually, emotionally, physically. Wow, that is so so true. And even
Mm.
when mums are speaking, we often go, our bodies. Actually, it's our bodies first and foremost. Our body transforms, and sometimes some parts don't go back where they used to
Yeah,
be.
and most of the time they don't. And that's the other thing. That's an emotional mental health
Exactly.
and anxiety, like all of that. That it's I think that there should be a lot more recognition for that,
Yeah.
what we do. And also what we do for society, because the other part of this is that mothers and I respect the ones that also choose to dedicate their, have their careers as mothers. Greater respect. And I think it's amazing if they can feel they can be also fulfilled and they can also do it. But society doesn't really recognize that at all. That expertise, you build an expertise,
Mm,
you're the CEO at that level of
I
knowledge,
love that.
you know
Yeah.
what I mean? And I think that's really that society takes that away.
I
That's why they should be saying, wow, you got like I respect you. My thing was, I'm just gonna quickly say this. When I started my business was that I felt that when I was at, dinners or, in social setting and I was, with my babes or whatever, and I have to say it was maybe men at the time, people used to make judgment and they used to say, but you're not working anymore, but you used to be whatever in the city for working for this big American bank. and straight away there would be a very strong judgment or not wanting to speak to me.
Mhm.
They would literally move away because they thought this woman has got nothing interesting to say. And it used to drive me mad, used to drive me crazy. And I used to think, how can you think, and just because right now I'm feeding this baby, that you've got nothing to talk about? I have got even more topics to talk about than I used to have when I was at work. So that, that recognition, there needs to be a recognition for that as a job. Yeah, society
I
expertise.
can totally, totally relate. I have heard so many mothers say this. I've experienced it firsthand. And funny enough, I'm an only child, so I became quite cheeky with it. When I'm out and about and people don't know who I am, I say to people, I'm a stay at home mum. And then when they find out what I do, they go, oh, why didn't you say I'm a stay at home mum? You never asked. You never asked because you, at that moment when I told you I was a stay at home mum, you thought I had nothing, no value to offer. And sometimes when I meet mums and they say, "Oh, I'm just a stay-at-home mum," I say to them, "You're the lawyer, you're the doctor, you're the negotiator, you're the therapist. There's no such thing as just a stay-at-home mum because when you're a stay-at-home mum, you wear all the hats." And I have
It's
no
so
idea
true.
why we can't put it on our CV. I've
And
done the accountants, I've
I
managed.
totally agree. And in all those jobs, if you can do it, you got to pay somebody to do it, right? Otherwise, you just do all of that. The cleaner, exactly, the therapist, all of the things you got to
Exactly,
do.
exactly. But you're so right. People have such a strong judgment on stay-at-home mum. Even with what I do with my kids, they're sort of like, "Oh, you're different." No, I'm not different. I'm the same as every other mum. We love our children. We do the same. It's just packaged slightly different so you can understand it because I was tired of the judgment. But I can totally relate. Don't let me get started on that one. I can totally relate to that one. It really used to upset me. And I just thought, oh, enough is enough. So thank you for bringing that up. So beautiful. The next question I have is, what do you, sorry, I've lost my footing. What legacy do you hope to live and leave behind for your children?
I think what is really coming, I think is sort of unfiltered, being a mother who is fully human. This is coming. This is the legacy. In literally, this is exactly what I want to leave behind. I will appeal to, for them to say, yeah, in all her crazy, extreme madness, beauty, heart, she was completely, fully human. And I think to be fully human means that we got to embrace all the, all our limitations and everything that we do wrong. Yeah.
I love that so much. I love that so much. You're not a superhero, you're not a superwoman. Fully human, the good, the bad, the crying,
Yeah.
the laughter,
I'm the opposite of being
all,
superwoman.
all encompassing. That is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
Thank you, Dad.
You're doing a great job. So, how has motherhood transformed your relationships?
Hugely. I'll tell you what's coming with this question is the way I am with people and also in work environments. I definitely have that, not nurturing, because also that's quite patronizing, but I feel that, I mean, I was always empathetic and, quite compassionate sort of, person, but I feel that now the immediate thing is to feel I want to give this person a bit more time. I want to understand them a bit more instead of rushing to judge them. I think that comes from, I think, having, yeah, having had my kids. I think so. Coming from that angle of understanding and having more patience. I think that has changed me in the relationship with people, and I think that comes probably from me.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's very true because as you shift, you're never the same as you used to be. They get a new version of you. So that new version is gravitating in all areas of your life. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
So, what's the most unexpected lesson that you've learned from your children?
Wow. The most unexpected lesson. So that I thought I could get away with some things, but actually that I got to really cut the crap and just, they can see through.
Oh, they see through. They do. They see it all.
So even if I sort of really think of myself as being completely real and authentic. A lot
Yes.
of the times they go like this, really? So that's the lesson, that even the shameful part, I need to own them. You know, I sometimes present them in certain ways and they go, really, this is what you're saying, but this is what actually you mean. The feeling naked, completely like, oh my God. Okay. Yeah,
They
that's
see you. They see you. Definitely see. They see through it all. They see through it all.
enjoy it all.
And they call that better version of you to step up. They don't let you
And
get
the sort
away.
of, sugar, coating it doesn't really work. And that
No,
makes,
not with your children. Absolutely not. Oh wow. And do you know, funny enough, you saying that, a memory came up when I was starting in my journey, and one of my children were really upset and saying, Mum, you're being fake. And I said, What do you mean? They said, But you're doing this, but our lives are
um,
different. And I said, No, I'm becoming. And it was such a beautiful conversation.
I love
And
that.
I was teaching them that, it's not about where you start, it's about where you're going. And it was so nice just to sit down and have that conversation about what they saw versus where we was and versus where we were going.
I am not fake. I'm becoming.
Yeah. And it
Oh,
was a realization, because at the time, you go to all these events and they say fake it till you make it. I didn't like that, but I've always been a big dreamer. I've always had dreams of where I was
yeah.
going. And sometimes the people I was serving, I won't say helping, because I think that everyone already has it inside of them. You just come and be the mirror. And they were just like, Mum, these people are really successful. They've got this, they've got that. And I said, Yeah, but
Mm.
we've got love, and we care, and we serve. And it was such a beautiful interaction. Thank you for that gift of that memory. Such a beautiful memory popped in when
And I love this. I'm becoming, and I mean, the amount of love that you've got in your family. Wow, literally each and every one of your kids, and you. Oh, you really are a role model. We haven't really sort of spent much time together, but I see what you post about, what they post about, what they say, whether it's a LinkedIn post, and that shines through. I'm reminded, what I saw that time in the room when your youngest was so tiny.
yeah, we've still
Um,
got that picture. Like I said to you before, we were speaking about you just before we scheduled this interview. So it's interesting. So I'm looking forward to seeing what the future holds. So my next question is, if you could change one thing about how society views and supports mothers, what would it be?
I would literally make it a job. I would have motherhood as listed, appreciated, um, considered as a profession, paid. That's what I would do if I would change it. Acknowledged, recognized, respected, all of that, honored, all of those things. So I would do, as in, it's your choice, and that's what we do. And it's because those women who do that at that level as a choice, full time, need to be recognized. I think there's a lot. I mean, I talk to women all the time who have chosen to be so dedicated as mothers, but they feel they're failing. They're a failure for society. And I think that's really dreadful.
Oh, that's so awful to
Because
hear.
they're not producing. They don't produce, and that I think is awful.
This always upsets me when this is brought up, in that women are not producing. Are they not producing the next generation of leaders? Are they not producing the next kind, loving, caring person to go out there and steward people? I love what you said. I think I saw something on social media actually. There's this it's a short video that's going around, and they're being interviewed for a role. And as they're talking about the roles, you've got to do
I
this.
saw that.
Yeah, exactly. So you know exactly what we're talking about. And they said you won't get any pay. So as soon as you were speaking, that just popped in. I was thinking that's very interesting. And so many mums feel like a failure, but
Yeah,
look what they're doing. Look what we're
yeah.
doing. Thank you for highlighting that. It's
Oh,
beautiful. Right. So the next question is, how has motherhood changed your perspective of yourself, your goals, and life in general?
hugely. I think on many levels, but the one thing I would say, I sort of grew up because I had this sort of accident, the scar that I have on my face. I have a scar here. I had this sort of accident that really defined me. I was only 12, and in this way that I wasn't sporty enough, and I was very scared of being hurt and all of that. And so I think what motherhood has done for me has reminded me that actually I am really powerful, that my
Yeah.
body's powerful,
Oh,
then that I can do, makes you emotional, that I can overcome, postnatal depression, that I can overcome pain, that my body's strong enough. I think that's done for me, that it wasn't my belief before.
that's incredible. Absolutely incredible that you didn't know how strong you was until you became a mother. That's incredible. That is absolutely incredible. Thank you for sharing that.
I thank you, darling.
Yeah. So, what did you have to sacrifice in order to become a mum?
My career, 100%. I was happy and I chose to do that. I was, sort of, wasn't very lucky to be able to do that. But I do think I sacrificed it because in those days, the careers that we had, full time in whatever sector, what it was like for women, back in the days, there was no flexibility. So I knew that I wanted to, I wanted to spend time with the kids, but I also wanted to have an interesting job, and I didn't want to go into an admin more type of role. So I said, no, it's not going to be for me. But I left that, and I used to love my jobs, and yeah. So maybe if I felt that it could be more a way of, fitting everything in and feeling that I could do it all, because I think you can do it all. You have your own version of doing it all. Then I wouldn't have sacrificed that. But I did sort of let go of that, I think. I was ready, and I so loved, sort of, leaving that work behind. But sometimes I think about it and I think, maybe I would have kept it, on one level.
Beautiful. Thank you. Who were you before you became a mum? Or who's the Simona way before motherhood?
I love that. I was very sort of ambitious. I did in everything. I did my uni. I graduated after 5 years in political science in Italy. I learned lots of languages. I was very committed to to excel on an academic level. So I was very driven, and then I went off to do my master. I wanted to go into diplomacy. I mean, very different careers to what I've sort of ended up doing. So I was incredibly driven, not driven to be successful. But for me, success was at an intellectual level
Mhm.
that I wanted to really improve myself, a better life. So being in an environment of stimulating people, and also excel in making impact
Mm,
life. It was always about impact. And I think this was really driven me. And so I think that was me really driven on all these three levels. Definitely. That's who I was before.
you still
No,
are.
but nothing could stop me.
Yeah. And you still are. You're the same. I can see it.
Really?
HubDot, absolutely. HubDot has been going for so many years, and it's
Hmm.
been a pleasure coming along to some of those events.
No.
So, the next question I have for you is, what is the gift of motherhood?
Wow, the gift of motherhood is of being able to truly hold that mirror to yourself, to literally, to really, really go and look at everything, everything inside of you, and going really, really deep and discover new faces of you, but also having the courage of that holding that mirror of honesty, I think.
Mm,
Because I think it's something that almost like, it turns inside out, for me visually is what I'm thinking. That, and so really so lots of traits that I thought were linked to something else, actually with motherhood is, that is linked to this. And it's already a lot of, going deep down into family patterns, past, all of that.
so true. So, so true. That all comes up in motherhood. Very interesting. So, I've got a couple of light-hearted, trivial questions. So,
I
the
like
first
them.
question I've got is, if your children were to write a book about you, what would the title be?
What am I thinking about?
You can do individually or collectively. It's entirely up to you.
So it would be something around something like like not ongoing. What do you call it in English when you say like literally something, like a Duracell,
The Duracell battery just ever going,
ever going.
ever ready, isn't it? The Duracell ever ready,
That thing like
constantly going.
like something around that. I can't think of the title, but something about ever spinning, ever going, ever like this. They literally this because I given I got them in front of me. They always go, they roll their eyes and here we go. What's she doing now? That type of thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh,
Only one.
okay.
Here she goes again. Yeah.
Yeah, that type of thing. So, oh, right. So now she wants to go and sing a festival. Oh, okay. And now, oh, really? I'm not going to abroad. This the idea. Okay, like a constant flow, something of that.
What's mummy doing next?
That's it.
I love that.
Well, I love that. You got it. I mean, obviously, clever you. That's exactly right.
Oh, I love that. You should tell them the title, see what they say, see if they laugh about it. What's
100%.
mum doing next? I love that.
Yeah.
So, what's your funniest mum fail moment?
Oh my God, so many.
There's so many to choose from.
So I'm going to tell you. I mean, it's a very recent moment. So I went. My youngest is still away at school, at boarding school. She's away. She stays at school. And literally one night, I went to see her, and I went into the school, and I went to see the sort of the head teacher, the whatever, the lady who runs the house where she's staying, and I want to see Allegra, and I want to spend time with her, and anyway, and then I thought, oh, I've got a cake in my car, that I'm just going to give it to the school. I went to my car, I got this cake without thinking what the cake was and who'd given it to me there. And I gave this cake and I said, it's all for you, enjoy. And this was all, she was like very young, whatever, 14. And I went back home. And the day after, the head teacher sent me a text and said, oh my God, thank you so much for the gift. We did open the cake to share with everyone, but that was a rum cake because a friend of mine, a Jamaican friend of mine, made this cake, and apparently, and I completely forgotten. It was
So
actually,
funny.
and they just said we could smell that it was everyone was eating, all these kids, but we could smell rum, and we couldn't understand. Could you tell me what the ingredients were in the cake? And I just said, I was like, I think that it was a rum.
It's funny.
Can you imagine you sit down and you share this cake and everyone is having like that was so I'm generally very like a
Oh,
very disorganized mom. I forget I got no dates, I forget all the dates, all the things that they got to do for school.
okay.
And everyone I always rely on others to help me.
Yes.
I get everything wrong. But that was recent. It was like, did you put alcohol? And I said no. No, because the question was, is it homemade? And I said, of course it is. But I didn't make it, you see. Somebody else made it. But they were like, it's got rum alcohol. I said, no,
Oh, that's so funny.
it was
Oh boy.
like a heavily, rum cake, like proper rum. So everybody smell of alcohol,
Oh, that is brilliant, Simona.
but also really like, and I was like, oh my God.
Oh, that's funny. That is hilarious. We've all got stories to tell. That's a good one, though.
You know what I mean? Like, I mean, and I could tell you another 10. Yeah. Literally, we just gotta have a sense of humor.
Exactly. These are memories you'll cherish for a lifetime. That's brilliant. Oh, God.
You must have so many yourself. You
Oh,
gotta have a
God.
coffee. I want to hear
I
your
have
story.
plenty. I have done everything. So we've got a not really funny joke, but Shay always says, Mum, I could have been Madeline. So we were out in Tunisia and I left her at a daycare and they were supposed to close, I don't know, let's say 2 o'clock. But for whatever reason, they closed at 1:30. And when I went back, it was closed. And my daughter at the time, she was about 6, and she's just very mature for her age, but they let her go, which is very bizarre to me, instead of her taking them to reception. So we were on this massive resort. It was like we had like 4 different pools, like it was grand. And she was gone. No one knew where she was. I went to reception. It wasn't funny at the time. And I never forget, I was searching the whole of the grounds of this hotel on my own.
How
I was
could
like,
they let
you
it
need
go?
to call
Could
the
they let it
police. Like,
go?
what have you done with my child? So I'm with Trey Sean. It was just me, Trey, and Shay and friends. And we're like looking everywhere. Little old lady, she found herself back to my room and she was like, Mum,
Yeah,
why did you take so, thank God, why did you take so long? Someone could have taken me. And she wasn't upset. She was just like, she wasn't
how
like
old was
sad.
she? How
She
old?
was 6. She was upset with me. Like, why, how could you forget me, Mum? I said, I didn't
Mm.
forget you. They closed early. And it was like the biggest mum fell moment ever. It's not a funny story, but she teases me about it now. She goes, Mum, I could have been Madeline. What
But
was
this is the thing, all these stories, I mean, all these stories become fun, right? When they get older.
Yes, exactly.
It's
Not all the time.
crazy. The
But
hotel,
I've done
the
everything.
hotel.
Oh God, I've done everything. Sent them to school when schools are not open. You know, I've got 5. I've got a load of stories to tell.
High five. I'm with you.
Exactly. So the next one is, what's your go-to hideout place when you need a break?
Jazz, music.
Yes. Oh,
I sing, 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 and I sing.
that's beautiful. That's the first question that you've actually just came out just so raw, so clear, and just like, yeah, jazz. That's what when I need.
That's my refill, my happy place, my where I feel beautiful. I never felt beautiful in my life, never physically beautiful. And I feel when I sing, I feel it's not that I'm an amazing singer, quite the opposite, incredibly average, but I feel like, you know, you feel beauty, it's just a beauty of moment, space of floating, you know, I mean, floor. Yeah.
Just imagine, Simona, if you're in that state, imagine people that's listening to you. So although you're saying you're average, that will be such a magical experience for everybody there because you're really connected. That's so
And
beautiful.
that's my dear, dear, dear friend, incredible singer, Taliba. Taliba always reminds me of this year is that exchange, is the fact that you are in that space and that's what people feel. You
Yes,
know, they connect with you. It's not about, you
absolutely.
know, which note, you know, you get to, you know, the pitch or,
Oh, exactly.
no,
Oh,
thank you. I love this subject.
love that. It's so beautiful. So the next question is, what is the most unexpected thing that you found in your children's pocket or backpack when they were growing up?
Wow.
So my boys used to actually put insects in their pockets purposely just to make me jump. They loved laughing at me when I was jumping. They always pulling
I
pranks.
remember with one of them, she wrapped everything from the house, lots of objects, at least
Oh,
10, as presents for the tea school, all my things. Photo frame, like everything packed.
oh, I love
Not
that.
in the back pocket, but yeah, packed in the school bag.
Oh,
And
she wrapped it for to give out as gifts. Oh, that is.
I just thought that's the mug, or that's, you know, that's the photo frame and everything. So that's why I was like, what is this? But I'm sure there's lots, but this is me with menopausal brain, like I can't even remember. But
Oh,
I'm
that's
sure there's
so
lots.
sweet. Sweet that she did it, but not for you. Oh gosh, yeah. We used to get calls actually. Yasmin would bring into school like my mobile, iPads, like our electronics would turn up at school because she would tell her friends about it and they'd say, no, you don't have it. So she wanted to prove to them that she had it. I was like, why did you do that?
Honestly,
Oh,
that's hilarious.
these kids, it's so
Right.
funny. So if our community of listeners can support you in 3 transformative ways, what would you ask for? And first, please tell the listeners about HubDot.
Wow, beautiful question. My ask. So HubDot is about unlocking the power of human connection. And I have this obsession of transforming the way that people think and do networking. I want to make it real. I want to make it transformational. I want to make it accessible. So HubDot started in 2012 with this sort of desire of finding a place where I could also feel I belonged, where we could talk about possibilities instead of where you went to school and did you go to university, you know, all of that, or the sort of where do you work. So that's why it's about stripping labels. So it's first and foremost a community that celebrates the power of your story. And in the 5 dots that are here, the idea is that when you come to HubDot, whether it's online or whether it's in person, you share a mindset. Are you here with, you know, red? I have knowledge or skills to share. I have an idea. I need help. It's a yellow sticker dot that you wear, or online you select virtually. Are you here you want to be inspired is green? Are you here because you want to a specific connection is blue? Or are you here because you want to share a story and is purple? And so HubDot has become 14 years on a brand, an organization that has a community that is not no membership based, so it's open to everyone, so people can be part of it. And we do events every month online because despite being in lots of different cities in the world, for now we have decided that we want to bring our community together online. So the events are free the last Tuesday of the month at 8 p.m. UK. And so people come, they hear stories, they connect, and we actively help you connect with what matters to you. And we create what we call a leveled human space where all of a sudden, as you were saying earlier, we remind ourselves that we got a lot more in common than differences of, race, of gender, of religion, of socioeconomic background. We bring everyone into the piazza. As I say, Italian piazza pop-in is called. So you pop in our piazza and you just come and be. But on the side, this is our community. The other side is the HubDot is a community building expert. So we go into organizations and companies of all sizes and sectors, and also not-for-profit, big brands, small brands. And we go and help them rediscover and reignite their own community. So every organization, everyone from a small team of 5 to a large of hundreds of thousands of employees, they've got a community. I call that a community. You can call it workforce, you can call it whatever. So HubDot goes into these organizations and we do programs and events, workshop, all type of interventions to say, look at the disconnected workforce, look at them as your community. It's a community that you have. So we want to unlock the power of human connection. And we do lots of programs, whether it's belonging and whether it's well-being and whether it's DEI, even if it's a word apparently that we don't use anymore, whatever you want to call it, it's about bringing people closer together. So a new CEO that goes into a company and people need to understand his strategy. So we do lots of different programs. We work with some amazing brands now, but the community is our heart. And so those employees also come to our events, and that's why it's called the figure of 8 community sort of business model, so that the community is very global, is very large, and then the community feeds into our corporate work, and the corporate work supports what we do, a lot of not-for-profit initiatives and things that we do.
That's incredible. Absolutely.
Taken a long time. Anyway.
No, I disagree. It's the first disagreement. No, it hasn't taken a long time compared to what? I think it's exactly where it needs to be.
Yeah, I completely,
Love.
you're absolutely right. I think it's taking maybe because it was something that I didn't start as a product. I didn't start it as this is an events company or this is this or this is I started as in, me, what I'm like. I was like, I want to do this thing. I want to invite people, and it was in my home. And then let's shape together. So still now I have this very collaborative, co-creating together approach. Sometimes as the company now is very structured, drives people mad. And I always go everyone, a very sort of HubDot, right? Everyone around the table, we all gotta be, let's brainstorm, let's co-create, and that sometimes it doesn't always work. So it's been shaped by many, 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 many incredible people in the world. So how can people help me? With this month particularly, we have a theme of be a human bridge. So for HubDot, we always believe that you can be a human bridge in every environment, at work, in your neighbors, in your families, your friends, with people you haven't met yet, with strangers. And so we're hosting an event on the 26th of June at 12 o'clock. It's going to be in Hammersmith in person. We're supporting an incredible human bridge called Pinky, who is the founder of the Malombo Music Association. And so we are supporting her vision for a connected community. And I don't want to say more, but I would say I would love people to come. If you're in London, Hammersmith is very easy to get to, very well connected. It's a free event, but it's in person. So we're going to have a lot of stories and connecting everyone across a whole spectrum of humanity. People that are doing great work for the community, entrepreneurs, creatives, and you don't need to be doing anything, right? It's just you can just come and I always say sit back and be inspired by the story. So that's one request. 3. You asked me 3 things transformative.
3 things, please.
How generous of you. So one, to come to our events in June. The second one, to let any businesses that you know, anyone that you know in your work community that is struggling with engagement, that people are feeling a little bit disconnected, come and tell us, because we may have a solution for that. And the third is a request for, start with what's your story. Next time you're with someone, waiting for the bus, or talk to people. I really it's really transformative when we, instead of being quiet and silent, feeling that it's cringe, to just say hi, just say hi, just say hi. Find ways of making conversations with people. If you
Yeah.
ask what's your story, there is an extraordinary alchemy that is activated, and so
Yeah.
much comes back to you. And I think just with that question, there's so much that we can do
I love
for
that. I'm
ourselves.
going to ask you to do one more for you. So that's lovely what you've shared, but one more for you. How can people help you? It's time to receive.
Oh, how
Do
can
you want to
people?
be on TV, magazines? Is there any interviews, any speaking engagements you're out for? Like, what if you want to ask for something? What would it be? But it has to be for you.
Um, I would love, for me. I think all these things are for me, though. I mean, for me, yeah, all these things. Maybe let me know if you want me to come and sing, if you got, an opportunity, and I can come and do a bit of jazz, a bit of Italian jazz.
I
Yeah,
love
but all these things in a way are about me, because I think, yeah, I would love to grow HubDot even more. I've got very, very sort of ambitious plans about HubDot. I see HubDot in everywhere. I see HubDot as a word. I see HubDot as a verb, right? I see HubDot really replacing the networking word. So I want to scale. So yeah, that's an immediate ask, to bring me into connections and corporate spaces that you are in, and introduce me maybe to those spaces and those CEOs that are very visionaries, and they believe that there's a different way of engaging your people more around the human magic. Yeah, really.
Beautiful. As a result of our conversation today, how would you decide to go forward and pay it forward? I know that you're doing that at HubDoc, but how could you put that into a sentence? What have you been inspired to do to pay it forward?
Uh, to be honest with you, I've written this thing that you said in very big letters on this piece of paper. I am becoming. I am, when you were saying I'm not fake, I'm not faking, I'm not fake, I am becoming. I think that's my big sort of takeaway, which is I want to pay forward reminding others, other mothers, other, young moms, older moms, all the ones that are, they are feeling less, that we are becoming. And that it's a process, and it's an infinite, I got goosebumps at this stage. Beyond that, that beautiful, I don't know, whatever it is. I don't want to use the word journey, but on that experience of motherhood, constantly, and we're becoming something else, and whatever challenge that life, presents ourselves with, whatever beautiful thing, new step, if we remind ourselves that we're becoming with that, with them, that's what I want to do. I want to way forward in that way. I want to give it to others as you've given it to me today.
Well, thank you for that. That's a beautiful response.
Mm.
How do you hope sharing your story on this podcast will impact others?
I hope that they I hope that they can really be fully themselves and not care too much about judgment, and really, yeah, truly, truly reflect on the fact that all that our kids want to have from us, and that I think all that the world and the people around us really, really what they should be getting from us is the true, honest selves, true, honest selves, with all the flaws.
That's beautiful. I love that. Like, just be given permission to be yourself. Don't hide the past.
Fully, 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 fully. Yeah, I think so. That's
That's
all.
lovely. As a result of this conversation, what words of appreciation or gratitude would you like to say in regards to your husband?
Oh, is it the last question?
It's no, it's one of, we're almost there.
Because I'm just thinking, oh my God, this is just so beautiful towards the end. The words I'm gonna say thank you, from the bottom of my heart, for truly seeing me, for seeing me in the woman that I am becoming, in the mother that I'm becoming, in this, entrepreneur I'm becoming, and to, not to hang on to a version of me that you married and that you met, but changing and transforming and really receiving me so unconditionally. That's what I want to say.
That's beautiful.
Which is why we're still together and we're, very happy together despite
That's
everything.
beautiful. Thank you very much for sharing that. What are you proud of yourself for?
I am proud of myself for not giving up on this dream of a more soulfully connected humanity and teams and places and schools and universities, and not giving up on that dream while I was going through all of my motherhood years and health, challenges and anxiety. I mean, all the things that I was going through, but I never let go. And I let go in the darkest days where there was literally nothing and I didn't even know. And I don't know, and people were not leaving me. People, I now know, no one ever left me. They came, they gave me a piece for HubDot, and then, but it was always my baby. I remember getting so upset when somebody who's not involved in HubDot anymore said, but this is your baby. And I got very upset. I was like, no, you're part of this. But she was right at the time. It was my baby. So people were contributing, but I was, I had that sort of torch, and I think yeah, that's what I now understand looking back. I'm very proud of that. I'm proud of the fact that I've grown HubDot the way it's grown, and never ever ever compromised on any level.
That's beautiful.
I kept the heart intention, the heart of it. I'm proud of that. Yeah.
That's beautiful. Proud of you.
Brava, brava.
Proud of you. Really proud of you. Give yourself your roses. What do you want to say sorry to yourself for?
Oh, I want to say sorry for not seeing how exhausted you were. Yeah. Because I was really exhausted at times. But I was putting a very brave face. I call it jazzy hands. Yeah, very, very exhausted, literally. Even more than exhausted if I stopped it all. But I was still showing up. I was showing up for everyone else, but not for myself. So I want to say sorry for not showing up for you.
What do you need to forgive yourself for, Simona?
Uh, yeah, I think for that, in a way, for sort of, mm, but would you say stomping my feet on her, for like not really holding her safe. Yeah, I gotta forgive myself for that, of putting me out there in situations and environments in everywhere where actually probably I wasn't safe, it wasn't safe for me and it wasn't loving for me, but I did that nonetheless. And I gotta say sorry for that. Sorry to me, to myself for that. Mm.
What do you want to say thank you to yourself for?
I want to say thank you for your energy. I want to say thank you that despite there's all that sort of spark. Thank you that you remind me that there is this, that there is, there's always something that can lift you, small things, that lightness, the smallest thing of finding again that energy, the energy can be reignited in the dark. Yeah.
Exactly. What are you willing to let go of and heal from as a result of our conversation?
I I think I want to fully. It's been so good. It's been so incredible. I mean, I am just, all that I'm thinking right now. I'm thinking, how do I possibly go off and do all the things I got to do today? So I'm going to sort of change out my day because I need to process all this and really, So I feel that this conversation has been really incredible at helping me even more to let go of that sort of sense of shame and sense of, really the sense of guilt. Just talking to you and thinking of you with your 5 children. I mean, all the things you've done. And that's what I think. I want to let go of that guilt fully, that it doesn't come back anymore, gone forever.
Let it go. Let it go. Well, Simona, we've actually come to the final, that was the final question. There's only one final piece. If you've got anything that you would love to leave as a final statement, a final phrase for our listeners, but I cannot thank you enough for being so present, vulnerable, open, funny. You've made me laugh, cry, I'm hot.
Oh.
Gone through all the emotions, but is there anything, any final words that you would love to?
I think my final thought is that people to me has always been medicine. So my final thought is really reach out. I think that sometimes even I don't do it, but I think that sometimes we forget that others can be, the answer, not because they've got the answer, but because just the fact that we're sharing that, we verbalize, even if it's really hard, and sometimes we tend to be, inward looking. I do think that reaching out to others for help, for a question, for just being, just say, look, I just want to see you. I don't even, not to talk to a friend, but just walk with me. I got my earpods in, just be, I think it's the key. It really can help. People is medicine. That's my thing.
I love that. People are medicine. That is such
Yeah.
a beautiful final
Yeah.
message for our listeners.
Still for me every day, my team, everyone, I'm so blessed. We are for each other. We are medicine. Yeah.
And I'm really grateful that we've kept in touch all these years. It's been so many years that I've known you. And I'm really grateful to have you a part of our journey. And we're aiming to come to your upcoming event as well. I definitely want to book to go to the online one, but I really want to come to an in-person one. It's been too long.
Please, can you? I
Really,
was so, and
yeah.
that is such a perfect event to come to as well. I would so love you, any one of you, literally. Just let me know how many, just
Yes.
for numbers. But I so want you to be there. And you know what? You've been such a source of inspiration for me, because I remember just hearing about your story and seeing your kids. I mean, everything that you've built, that you are, and you're so humble. You got this beautiful manner about you, that you're so accessible. Somebody like you. I mean, you are on big stages, and you're a very big voice, but you're also very, very accessible. People feel they can come and talk to you, and who you are, and that the humility in you, I find is beautiful. Because as a value, as an attribute, I find that beautiful in people, and that's who you are. But you also have this force of being an incredible, businesswoman, and I love these two things combined in you, and I find that so inspiring. And even if we haven't seen each other a lot, every post I see you, but you and I chat, with DM, is that thing, being here, like we're so sisters. I see you're a sister to me. I call you, all of you, sisters, because it's like, it's a very strong bond that is profound, is deep. And so, yeah, you've inspired me all these years and continue to. So I can't wait to see you 26.
No, I want to thank you also. I think it's really important to give out the roses. I think it's so important face to face, because over the years, you've inspired me a lot more than you think. Coming to your events, for me growing up, me raising my kids, there was challenges because I was raising them in quite adult spaces. And, not every space they were raised in was easy for them. They were the children, not that they were treated badly, definitely not, but kids want to be around kids, they want to be around their peers. But when they came to HubDot, they've all got their unique memories from that. And I feel that it's really important that you're aware of the kind of atmosphere that you create. And sometimes, because I've been to your events a couple of times, sometimes with all of them, sometimes by myself, or
Yeah.
and you've always been welcoming. And sometimes we don't know the impact we have on each other's lives. Like, I've come to your events where I was completely dissipated and, just falling apart, so much going on in my personal life. And just coming to your events, hearing the stories, sharing the stories, you have no idea. And I remember one particular event that I'm talking about is I was looking for Amir. I think he was with my mum at the time, or one of his siblings. I was like, "Where's Amir?" And he was over at the stage with you, talking to you, and he had his book, and you had him, one of his siblings. He was like, "No, he's got to go on stage," and you had him up on stage. We've got the video of it still. So you're a
Honestly, with
very
this
big
lovely
part
little
of,
dog.
yeah, yeah. You're a very
Honestly,
big part of our family's journey, and I just want to.
honestly, I can tell you that you've just said something so beautiful,
Oh,
and that is the
oh,
ultimate compliment that you're giving
it's
me.
important that it really is, because
Oh,
you could, like, even hearing your journey of how you came to the UK from Italy, that's not easy, and you created somewhere for you to belong, but also for other people to belong. So I looked forward to coming to your events was so.
wow, that line is beautiful that you've just said. That was literally, if you say that I'm almost there, that I'm doing it in creating a space where others could also belong. That
Absolutely.
is literally mean I'm on the right track, and I
Yes,
thank you
you
from
are.
the bottom of my heart. And
I,
I always love to give my floating hearts on the screen.
oh, beautiful.
It's all my love, really.
Do those. Oh, I haven't done those before. I love that.
You should get all the
Hey.
love. It keeps floating.
Yeah, this is the first time on our podcast. Very interesting. Thank you. Thank you for spreading the.
Thank you so much, Sabrina. You literally, what a great name as well. Sabrina I wanted to be called Sabrina when I was small. Pronounced in Italian, Sabrina, with a very strong R. Love it. You are complete joy, and I can't wait to see you. Can't wait to see you.
Likewise, likewise. I'm just going to do the brief outro and then we are coming to a close. So, listeners, let's turn words into action. If you've been moved by today's story, think about how you can offer some support, no matter how big or small, whether it's through words of kindness, shared resources, or connecting with our guest. Let's build a community that uplifts and empowers each other. Thank you for tuning in to the Unheard Cries of a Mother. Your stories matter, and together we can create ripple effects of understanding, support, and transformation. If today's conversation resonated with you, please like, comment, and subscribe, and share this episode with someone who needs to hear it. Remember, as mothers, we are stronger together. Until next time, let's keep lifting each other up and turning unheard cries into powerful voices. Simona, thank you so, so much for sharing your story with us.
Wow. Love you. Thank you.
Oh, wow.
Thank you, darling. That was